time is it?
And it's just as exciting as that. That's about as exciting as it gets. Hey, I did pretty good on my picks this week.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
And I got you on that one game.
Yep.
Got my notes
Figures
right.
I went against my team, and
you know, it's funny because I was this close to going with New England too, and I changed my mind.
wow.
Remember I think that was the one where I said I scribbled it out. I said,
Yep. Okay.
You know, I should stick with my original answer because I'm changing it like you do on a test, and you end up you had the right one the first time. I had a feeling about the Patriots, and when they were winning, I'm like, I could have cut.
Yeah, I did the same thing with the Giants. It's
Yeah,
like,
and the Giants.
Can't believe I convinced myself to go against them. Oh,
I did the same thing with the Giants. Oh,
jeez.
I know. What happened here? Where'd our background go? There it is. Wow, that was weird. So these are the teams that were off last week: the Chefs, the Falcons, the Cowboys, and the Jets, who quite possibly could be the worst two teams in football. They got a break sucking.
They've been taking buys for a while now.
Exactly.
Week 10. Wow.
It's flying by.
It's flying by.
We're going to do our week 11 picks tonight. And, yeah, that leaves 6 weeks after this.
Is it
crazy?
Is it 6 or the 7? Are they doing the 17?
We're doing week 11 picks, so that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Then after that, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. So the game we were just lamenting about, we want to kill ourselves over. The Eagles and the Giants. I mean, I just thought this would, on talent alone, the Eagles should win the game. That said, exactly. I'm starting to get the feeling that the Giants might end up winning this division. I'm really getting that vibe.
Yep, I'm having the same vibe as well. And they've been little by little. They've been improving since their disastrous start.
And their defense is solid, and Jones looked pretty damn good. You know, even without Barkley, they're starting to come together, and maybe that's what it took. It took a good 6 or 7 weeks to figure out how to manage their offense without him, because the whole thing was built around ball control using Barkley, and they lost him. So, you know, hey, what can you say? And Judge is a good coach. The team believes in him, and
they're definitely playing for him. It does take a while to rebuild your whole system after you lose a player like that, and it takes a while to get your bearings back. Jones is getting back. He didn't have any turnovers this week, and he's so deceptively fast. He went on that long run, and I'm like, how did the defense not catch him?
I was just going to say the first touchdown run was shocking to me, and it set the tone right there. I mean, the game was over when he scored that touchdown. For the most part,
pretty much
in the game.
Yeah, the Eagles, like, at least the Giants, you know, they had a horrible start, but they've been making these increments every week. The Eagles just they go back to square one. It's like, you know, you go for and then you go back to square one every single game, and you keep wondering when are they going to kind of like be the Eagles again with that run at the end, and it's not happening.
It's not. I think their offensive line is a mess right now. Wentz is under siege. They really can't get any kind of rhythm going. They're sporadic. You know, they'll have a quarter or two where they look like the Eagles, and then they have a couple quarters sprinkled, you know, here and there throughout these games that just they look like the Bengals or something. It's bizarre.
Yeah, and they got all those players back this week, so you would have thought that they would have looked better. So you can't always blame it on. You can't just keep saying, "Oh, they're so devastated by injuries anymore." You know, they're getting a lot of people back, and still.
Yeah, there's something just not right there. It's weird.
Yep.
This one almost became the upset special of the week.
I was shocked.
The Jags hung in there.
They were leading in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
This was at Lambeau. I just didn't know what to make of this game. It's like, how does how do you see such lack of talent on one side and all the firepower on the other side just have this type of game? I guess you could just chalk it up again. That's the NFL. It's like sometimes you can't explain how these games come about.
Right.
Where Green Bay should have just from the first play should have just had a blowout, and they had the Jaguars aren't just they're a bad team to begin with, but then they had the rookie quarterback in there on top of it.
Right.
Still Green Bay couldn't blow them out. Jeez.
No. Robinson's the key to the Jacksonville offense right now, James Robinson, and although he might be out this coming weekend. This is the second time in a couple of weeks Green Bay's done this at home. They did it with the Vikings too. So something's just not right. I think it goes back to what I was saying on a couple shows ago, where Aaron Rodgers has Jones and Adams, and he can't rely on anybody else on that team. Maybe Tanyan once in a while. Valdez-Scantling finally came out of nowhere this week and caught one for a touchdown. But where's he been? It just seems like he can only use Jones and Adams. And if he can't consistently pump the ball to those two guys, they're in trouble. It just seems that way. Which
spells trouble for them in the playoffs, because there's some teams that will be there that can take your receivers right out of the game. He's going to be playing good defenses, and once that happens, what are they going to do?
I got in the car the other day, and Mike Greenberg was on. Just went on to ESPN radio, and Greenberg was on. He sounded like us. He said exactly what we just said about Green Bay. And they're a paper tiger. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a one and done because of who they are. So strange doings up there on the frozen tundra.
Yeah, and where's their defense too? You don't hear anything about their defense doing anything. It's like they could have had they should have had 6 or 7 sacks or whatever.
Average at best, clearly.
Interceptions, nothing.
Yeah, struggling with Jacksonville, who's competing with the Jets for the number 1 overall pick. So next this was such a tough game to call.
Sure was.
Washington and Detroit, and it came down to the end. It was anybody's ball game. And Matt Prater kicks a 95-yard field goal. Maybe it was a 195-yard field goal to win.
I mean, this game started out exactly like I was following it kind of a little bit, and it's like, yep, that's exactly what I thought. The Detroit's gonna win this game easily, and that'll be the first one they win easily. And so, next thing you know, you look and they dragged Washington back into it. It's like, how do they keep doing that? And
the two back for Washington, both running backs did really well. And of course, I have Gibson on my fantasy team. Put him on the bench, 22 points. I benched him. I benched Ronald Jones. 36 combined points. Yeah, because those experts don't play Ronald Jones. Fournette's getting all the carries this week. So I was like, oh, crap, really?
Oh, wow.
I still won somehow, but I left 60 points on my bench.
Holy cow.
I benched Adam Thielen, too. Yeah, bad. And I still won. I won by 40 points, even with 60 on the bench. Yeah.
Jeez.
And the guy I played, we were both tied for second and third. We both were 7-2.
Wow.
I beat him. I'm 8-2. Now I'm in the sole possession of first place. So
really?
Yeah, because the first place guy lost.
And is anybody picking up Alex Smith? That's 2 weeks in a row with over 300 yards and touchdowns. He's doing pretty well for someone who's
maybe he won't retire like I thought. Maybe he won't. I don't know. He seems to like his tight end too.
Yep.
So, I like I was going to say the Redskins. I like football team. I just like what I see. It's a rebuilding year with Ron Rivera, but there's definite signs of an upward trajectory. The last 5 or 6 years, they've just been who they were, a 5-win team. And there was no
that way, yeah.
Right. They just didn't look like they're going to ever improve. But they're definitely going in the right direction. So good on them.
I mean, the only thing I have a question is is he kind of stuck with a quarterback situation? Is how many more years is Alex Smith going to have? And that's who's starting. So is he going to?
He's going to have to probably
have a franchise quarterback. I mean, that's the only.
Haskins is not the guy either. So they've got to go find somebody.
Oh,
this game was played in 400-mile-an-hour winds or a tornado or something.
Yep, it was like what kind of hurricane weather?
Hurricane, they had a lightning delay. The wind gusts were like 60 miles an hour or something like that. So it was just a grind it up, run in the muck. It was an old school, like you could have put this in black and white and said, yeah, this is a game from 1945. Aside from the new technology, probably pass it off. Slow and steady wins the race, and the Browns won the race, but holy moly, what was it 10-7, right?
Yeah, 10-7. Nothing really impressive from Mayfield, that's for sure.
No,
it was basically Chubb and Hunt each over 100 yards.
Well, you couldn't throw in the wind,
right? That's true. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you're right. So that negates, can't think of his name, Deshaun Watson's talents. So that helped out.
And Houston's running backs are not good.
Yeah, they're not like Cleveland. And this is bad weather notwithstanding, this is exactly the type of game that Cleveland wants to play. Have the running game, take the pressure off Mayfield, not put the game on his shoulders, minimize his mistakes, and that's what they want.
They'd be happy if he only threw it 20, 22 times a game.
Yeah.
Because he's a turnover machine if he gets into the higher 30, 40 range. So, yeah, I mean, Cleveland's hanging around. They're still relevant.
This game started 35 minutes late, and yet it still ended before the Washington-Detroit game, which started on time. So that tells you it was run.
Points scored in the Washington game.
Yeah.
So this game, the first half was shocking.
Yeah.
It looked like I was like, oh no, Tampa Bay really is bad. They got a hangover from the Saints beating. They look no better after we both predicted they'd come in and just beat the crap out of the Panthers for a revenge. And clearly something at halftime just tweaked Tom Brady in the offense, because they did go out there and just lit it up in the second half.
It was just kind of like a bad start. I think early on, Carolina had a turnover deep in their end and scored it. So it was a close game at the beginning, and it kind of looked like they were going to hang in there. But no McCaffrey.
And Bridgewater got hurt too.
Bridgewater got hurt. No McCaffrey. It's like, and it was too much talent on Tampa Bay on both defense and offense. Just overwhelmed them. They can't keep up with them.
Right.
I think Tampa Bay scored after the initial turnover. They scored on 9 straight drives, not all touchdowns, but 9 straight drives, no punts at all. 9 straight drives he scored on.
Crazy. And I was watching Ronald Jones. No, 98-yard run. That's awesome. I'm so glad he's on my bench.
Oh man.
That's it for the 1:00 games that were all on Fox, because the golf was on CBS. So we go to 4:00 and your boys.
I like this game.
I'm sure.
It goes back. When we were doing our grades, I said how the Dolphins were really well coached, and I love that.
Flores is really
because they have all 3 phases: special teams, defense, and offense, all doing like their part, and they're playing well. And once again, they get a punt blocked and get out to a fast start. And in a way, it's kind of you like it, but in its way, kind of a little worrisome for me as a Dolphin fan. It's like, how many games are you going to have that? And they keep having it every game. When is that going to, if that stops, is that going to hurt them? But hey, you love it that they have that much impact from special teams.
Sure. I mean, his stats were not glorious.
No.
But he won the game again. And you know what? And I was saying this to you last week, maybe. And again, I saw it on some national media coverage. His throws are in such tight windows, and they are perfect. They're like right there.
Yeah.
So he has the ability to squeeze it in to a really tight window. And that's something that's hard to teach. And he came into the league with it. So.
Which is good that he's already at that point. And these two teams are actually kind of very opposite. He's not being asked to carry the game. He's being asked to make the plays, which he does, and then the rest of the team has to do their part too.
Right.
Or on the other hand, Herbert, it's like he's being asked to do everything, and it looked like the Dolphin defensive plan was take Keenan Allen out of the game and see what happens. And I think it bothered Herbert a lot. He didn't have his stats were, I think, under 200 yards passing. And
it was his first game where he didn't look very, he's looked spectacular up until now. He looked pretty pedestrian last week. And that's a credit to the Miami defense.
Yep. Like I said, they're doing their part as much as the offense. And I feel bad for Herbert because he's not getting any help from just the opposite. He's not getting any help from special teams or hardly anything from the defense as well.
Right. Yeah, there's going to be some changes out there in Charger land.
Yeah.
The Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders.
And the Horsies.
The Raiders are just, you get gaining more and more in confidence every week.
Mm-hmm.
And they become so dominant now. Now they're not just winning barely, they're dominating now. And I know the Broncos aren't exactly, the Chiefs or anything like that, but it's a division game and you kind of expect it to be somewhat close. But
the Broncos are capable of scoring points.
Yeah.
We've seen their offense look pretty good all year long, despite the youth on that team. So they're no cakewalk, that's for sure. No, you're right. The Raiders look like one of those teams that will constantly evolve as the year goes on, and they could be scary if they really get it all together and all humming in December.
Yep,
going
they have
into the playoffs.
They have their running. Jacobs is over 100 yards. They have their running game going. Their defense is really good. I mean, four interceptions, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And Locke, he's kind of playing like a rookie. It looks like he's trying to be that person that carries a team and taking all these chances, and it's just like sort of like a Wentz prodigy, or following a Wentz's footsteps, where you just try to do too much and create a lot of turnovers.
John Elway's had a quarterback problem the whole time he's been in charge of that team. Yeah. Aside from when he signed Manning, and Manning bought him a year or two. At the end, Manning was useless too, but at least Peyton was smart, even though his abilities had completely declined. He was smart enough to get you to where you needed to go. I don't think Drew Lock's the guy either. I think he's going to continue to look for somebody in the offseason.
Yeah. Game of the week, I guess. I don't know. I think
the ending of the week.
Okay. Yeah.
It's funny, we flipped over to this game right as that is happening. Because it looked like it was over. And I was over at Doug's and he goes, let's flip, just catch the end, make sure Buffalo walks off the field. And what? All I heard was Chris Berman. What do you do? Knock it down! Knock it down! There were 4 Bills there, and Hopkins went up and took it from all of them. I mean, Hopkins is a special talent, don't get me wrong. There were 4 defenders around him. Even Doug's wife was like, how did he catch that with 4 guys right there?
And you miss a lot just because that there's so much focus on that play. You miss, some of the other stuff that's happened.
Murray threw that off his back foot.
Yep, and he kind of landed in the sideline.
Yeah, not bounds. He just kind of heaved it up. Yeah, it was.
Yep, running to his opposite, throwing hand.
Yeah,
how does he do that so accurately? But the game was. I guess the Bills' offense is that from the early part of the year, as we said, has come back. That's 2 games in a row that they've put up such good numbers. Yeah. And what's missed in this, because Murray had that great pass, is previous to that, the Buffalo Bills drive to take the lead.
Oh, yeah,
great throw. That was a great throw by Josh Allen.
It really was.
Diggs, right?
Yep. Yeah, with
like end zone,
hardly 15 seconds or something, 23 seconds left in the game.
But it was a great throw, right into the back of the end zone. Wow.
Yeah. Great throw, great catch.
And of course that gets because then Tyler Murray comes back.
Yeah.
That he had to run around to he was almost sacked.
He ran all the way to the sideline just to avoid the sack, falling down, throw it off his back foot, 4 guys there. Hopkins goes up. Whoop, thank you very much. He hardly got hit. He just went up and grabbed it.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they
knock it down. Knock it down.
No, it's not like he wasn't covered. The guy, the defense was there. Just
I used to love when I worked up with Berman and Tom Jackson. And what do you do, Tommy? Knock it down. That's all I heard in my head. I was like, you got to be kidding me with this. Of course, we've seen Aaron Rodgers do that how many times?
Yep.
3 or 4 at least I can in recent memory where he's thrown up a Hail Mary and they've caught it. So crazy game. And it might have saved Arizona's playoff hopes because they subsequently went and lost Thursday.
Yeah.
So if they lost that game and they lose Thursday, then suddenly they're 5-5.
It would have been three in a row. Oh, wow.
It changes the whole dynamic of their season. That one play. They're
and they still have a lot of work to do because not only did they lose, but I think there was Murray got injured during that game. He kept going on, but you could see his effectiveness.
His shoulder's bad. Something's wrong.
So you don't know.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of injuries.
I just read just before we came on. It was posted 2 minutes before we came on from Chris Mortensen. He has 11 rib fractures.
Oh.
And a punctured lung.
How did he even go
11
back?
Rib fractures.
He went back after that injury.
He probably had 4 or 5, and then he went back and got the rest.
And you can't breathe when
I can't imagine. I mean, how many ribs do we have? 12? I don't know. I don't know. Basically, every single one of them is cracked. So he's on IR. Probably he's going to miss the rest of the year. Lucky to have him for the playoffs. And they're not going with, well, this is for our pick show, but they're not going with Winston.
Nope.
They're giving the ball to Taysom Hill.
Yep.
So, but we're covering this game. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, San Francisco, with their injuries, their starting quarterback and best receiver are still out. They still have a bunch of injuries. So we figured this was a Saints cakewalk. It didn't turn out that way. Breeze got injured. What was it, in second quarter?
Yeah, about halfway through the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and pretty much it was just game management after that. Their defense, took care of San Francisco pretty easily. Would have easily kept them in the game. So it was kind of one of those ho-hum games for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty ho-hum. And the result was pretty much predetermined.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's kind of ironic because the 49ers came in as the walking wounded and the Saints left as the walking wounded, the new walking wounded. Kamara's banged up too. So
Yep. And now you wonder, what that's going to do. We thought with the Saints beating up Tampa Bay that they would have but now you wonder if Tampa Bay is going to catch up now.
Yeah.
Division.
Yeah. They still have the tiebreaker by beating them twice.
They do.
All right, Seattle at LA. We both took the Seahawks.
Yep. This was a surprise to me. I mean,
me too. Russell was a turnover machine in this game.
Yeah, he was. And as we've discovered this year, the Seattle defense is not what it used to be. So when Russell Wilson is not on his game, the defense cannot save them. I mean, that they need him to play well to win because their defense isn't as great as it used to be. It's not that great.
No, Adams hasn't really been 100% yet.
Right, that's true.
That'll help. And back to the Thursday night game, since it gets caught in this trap where you and I can't really cover the Thursday.
You could throw it in there.
Carlos Dunlap finally showed up too. I think he's finally learned their defensive system. He got there like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now it looks like he's comfortable. He was major disruptor. So if you get him going and you put Adams back at safety, that might change things going down the stretch for the Seahawks defense. But you're right. They've been underwhelming to this point.
And the Rams have surprised me a little bit. I've never really give them a lot of credit. But their defense, they got Ramsey on that trade. And he took Lockett out of the game completely. It's nice to have a corner like that. And then the rest of their defense took care of everyone else. And Russell Wilson was just, I don't know. He didn't, maybe they were giving him these looks that he couldn't. It's hard to say someone as experienced as he is, the defense could confuse him that well. But there's that one play where he basically rolled out to the right and he had the whole field to himself. He could have ran like probably all the way to the end zone, and yet he decides to throw up in the air, which pass that got intercepted in the end zone. What kind of
bizarre?
I don't understand that decision.
Bizarre is for a guy like Russ, he doesn't make mistakes like that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned the cornerback situation. It reminds me of the year they went to the Super Bowl and they brought in Talib.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of thing. And they got rid of Peters last year. Peters didn't really work out there. But Peters is doing great in Baltimore now.
Yeah.
But it seemed like that when it feels like that again with the Rams. It's weird how like that one component back on their defense, because now they can cover especially they can cover a number one. It allows their front line to do more damage because the quarterback's got to hold the ball a little longer. It's so funny how it's almost like the human body, everything's connected.
Yeah, it's true.
If you have a deficiency somewhere in your secondary and you get guys running wild, then your pass rush is ineffective because they can't get there in time.
Yeah, they can't get there. Yeah.
Right. So one thing is predicated on another, and and it's just funny how just you mentioning them fixing that one piece of their defense seems like it was the solution, because now they're 6-3.
We'll see how they do the rest of the year. And Goff, he's if their defense is going to give them a quick lead like that, or help them to a quick lead then he gets comfortable, and and that's when he plays really well.
Right.
When he's in that type of situation.
They have a lot of offensive weapons. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's true.
No surprise here. No. I actually thought Cincinnati would hang tough for a little while. This game was over right away. It was almost boring. It was just a complete ass whooping. Cincinnati was never in the game, never a challenge. They did some odd things at the end. Like they faked a punt when they're down by 26 points or something like that.
Yeah, it seemed like the Steeler offense didn't, took a little while to start really going, and but their defense shows up to every game, and from play one, is on full throttle.
Yep.
And I think we talked about this during the Picks game that trying to remember Burrow, he takes a lot of sacks, and I think the Steelers only had like 4 sacks, but it looked like he was getting beat up.
Only 4, but he got hit a lot.
All game long, he looked like he was getting beat up.
He was limping. He was a mess. He took a beating. He looked shell-shocked.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, he just had that look, that glazed look on his face, like, whoa. It was almost too like, and he knows he's been in winning programs. I remember at the beginning of the year, they were 0-2. And he said in a press conference, I've never lost 2 games before, ever in my life. 2 in a row, which is crazy. From youth football through high school football through college, he never lost 2 games in a row. And he had a look on his face like, so this is what it takes to be an NFL caliber championship level team. He was like, wow, we got a long way to go. You could just see it. It was all over his face.
Yeah, it's too bad that, when you're that good, because of the way the NFL draft is set up, you're probably going to go to a bad team at the beginning.
Yeah, so of course.
You're going to have to go through that.
Of course. But, and let's give them credit. They're a lot better than they were last year.
Yes.
They're pretty much in every game. This was the first game, one of the few games this year where they've really got their asses handed to them. And you could see he knew that team on the other side is where we need to get, and we got a long way to go to get there. Belichick earned all his money this week because he beat the Ravens for me.
And we talked about how this was the type of game that Belichick he could scheme something that would.
He did indeed.
And with inferior talent, they could stop him, and that's what he did. I'm sure the rain helped a little bit. It was probably just they stopped the Raven running game, and we've said how this year the passing game is not there. So
right,
Ravens just was kind of like, looks like their offense was kind of just like just around waiting for their defense to make that one game-turning play, which never happened, and there they go.
The Patriots took care of the ball. They got Burkhead back, and I think Cam and Rex Burkhead have something going on because the few games he's played, the guy's got like multiple touchdowns. They get Sony Michel back this week, so it'll be interesting to see. Newton's played a lot better the last 2 weeks. So, he admitted over the week, as I thought, I said, since he got the COVID suspension, he hasn't been right. And he said, I came out of that a little soft and a little slow. So he was off his game for a while. Maybe he found it again. Probably also found Bill Belichick's boot up his you-know-what. So...
and it's nice to have some more talent around them too, like you said, Burkhead, and it's, you can't do it alone.
Right. So very impressive win.
Yes.
I never had the feeling Baltimore could climb. I just felt like New England had control of the game from the outset, even though Baltimore on paper is superior. They were never in this game, and it's almost like that stadium, Gillette Stadium, is a house of horrors for John Harbaugh. He goes up there and. Yeah. So
I mean, I know, like you. Well, I did think there was. I was always waiting. I guess I had that Ravens mentality that I was always like, okay, this will be the one where the defense gets this big turnover and that'll do it. It's like I was always waiting for that. Like basically, like thinking maybe that's their offense wasn't gonna do it. They needed something. And of course, it didn't happen.
I saw the weather. It was funny because we had the weather that Cleveland and Pittsburgh had early in the day. And by the time when I pulled up to watch the Steelers game at 3:30 in the afternoon, it was fine here. When I left, all of a sudden we've got tornado warnings and all kinds of crap and sideways rain. It was nuts. And that went up to Boston. And when I knew that, I said, well, the Ravens are going to just run the crap out of the ball. This works in their favor. Right?
I thought so too.
Well, that's why they have to play the games.
And the Ravens, the last thing about the Ravens is and this is not a Lamar Jackson criticism, it's just the whole team. They just don't play well from behind. I mean, with Jackson there, I think they're like 1-7 when they're not winning at halftime. And
they have the opposite stat. It was like 22-0 when leading going into the fourth quarter until Pittsburgh came back and beat them.
Yeah.
Now they're like 22-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. And the last game of the week, pretty much what we figured.
Yeah.
I thought Minnesota would put up more points. And the thing that really, of course, this is the Bears, right?
Yep.
They got their quarterback hurt in the final minute of the game.
Yeah, their offense is just, I know we keep saying the same thing, but it's like nothing works on their offense. It doesn't matter. The only thing that kept this game so close was, number one, their defense is good.
Yeah, their defense
that
is
before.
Good.
Well,
yeah.
I didn't even think how good they were until I actually wound up watching this game. They are good.
They're very good.
They stopped Cook cold pretty much.
Yeah, but they log a lot of minutes.
They do, because of the multiple 3-and-outs, and eventually you do get tired. They didn't even seem to get tired in this game at all. They were good even at the end. Cousins made a couple of good plays that he had to make, and the special teams for the Bears, of course, kept them in the game with a return touchdown, and they put them in good field position, which did no good because the Bears offense didn't do anything with it.
Right.
That's why it was so close.
Yeah. Now Foles is hurt.
Yeah.
So
I heard it wasn't as bad as I initially thought. I don't know. I thought there was a chance he was going to play this coming week. I don't know. I got to look it up, but I heard afterwards it wasn't as bad as it looked.
Well, we'll find out. Right?
Not that it matters. I mean, they need a whole new. They need a whole new offense, not just another quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I mean, running game doesn't work. Passing game doesn't work. Their offensive line must just be that bad, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's trouble in Chicago for sure. So anyway, I was 10-3 this week, and you were 9-4.
That's really good. 10-3. Jeez.
So my overall record is 23. Whoops. Let me take that stupid.
It's really good
thing down. 23-16. And you are 27-12. So I trail you by 4 now. 4.
I told you you're going to make up something.
So we'll see. We'll see if I can catch up to you. We will do our picks right now, right? We'll sign off, come back, and do our picks for Week 11 in the National Football League. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure you click the little bell icon to be notified anytime someone from our show drops new content here. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?